recognized everywhere. So, how to take the exam? You apply through pmi.org. You can do it online, or you can mail them the certificate. Application can be audited. They do audit some applications. So if that happens, your application will take a lot longer to get approved. But that doesn't mean that they're going to deny it. So once you get approved, so why are they auditing your application? They might want to make sure that you are getting the preparation course from a place that is registered. It's a registered PMI institute. Not every institution that provides you with the training or the preparation course has those credentials. So they might ask you for some more, like maybe they might ask you for certificate of completion through that place, maybe a syllabus. We provide all of this to our institution, to our students. So we do have a set syllabus. We have a roster for the students, and then we also have a certificate of completion. So when students would come to us in order to prepare for their prep course, we would be able to provide all of these documents if, let's say, their applications are audited. Then once you are approved, you receive authorization from PMI. Project Management Institute will send you a letter or an email or both, depending on how you applied. And that application will be valid for 12 months. Then during that time, you have to book an exam appointment at a testing center. And the testing center is Prometrics Testing Center, where you go and you sit for the exam and you give the exam. Now the exam. The exam has 200 multiple choice questions. 25 are pre-released, meaning there are some that are already released, and they'll tell you that these are the questions that will be included. PMI does not publish the grades, so if you do pass, they're not going to tell you what the grade is. They'll only let you know that you passed or failed. But it is believed to be in the 60s, meaning if the score is 60% or higher, you are believed to pass the exam. The exam is taken all online, and that's one of the reasons why we also like our students to get used to that online platform. So when you take the class with us, every week you will get practice quizzes that have been taken from the actual PMI PMP exam. And this will give you a practice of how to answer the questions, and then in the end, in the 6th week, you will then be asked to give a final exam. The final exam is 100 questions, and they're all multiple choice. Each question is unique. So these questions sometimes are not repeated. So every year, let's say if a student did not pass the first time and they're sitting for the second time, they will have to prepare all over again. What?
Say hi to me.
Hi. Thank you for being a part of our project management professional webinar.
Thank you. Go.
Okay. Now the book. So the book that's used has been released by Project Management Institution. If you just joined us, we are talking about how to pass the project management exam, and also through PMI, and why you should be a part of our institution to prepare you for the PMP preparation course. Our course is unique, and it's unique in a sense that it gives you all the training and the requirement and the questions and that you would need to know in order to become a PMP professional. PMP, so now the book is called as PMBOK Guide. This is, the full name is a project management body of knowledge. Why do they say body of knowledge? Because the body of knowledge is vast. It's really, it's a lot of questions. If you look at the book, a lot of people tend to get very, very overwhelmed, because the book has a lot of things a lot of competencies, a lot of skills, input, output, resources that PMP and PMI professionals need to know. Currently, we're using the 5th edition, and that was published in 2013. And the way the book works is that every chapter, there are 13 chapters, and every chapter has an input, meaning in order to complete one section of a project, what is it that you would need to give? And that's an input. And then output is what would be the result of the knowledge that you give. So example would be, let's say you are trying to complete a project that has to do with creating more sonar panels for a company. What are the inputs that are required to complete the sonar panels? You would need how many technicians, you would need how many people, who's going to be controlling ordering, which is what company, and how are you going to order it, then who is responsible for installing it. All of that is a part of the input, and the output is, okay, so what are the people, who are the people, and who are the resources who will be working on those sections, and then what is the result. So a project can be 5 months, can be a month, a week, or it can also be 1 to 5 years. One example of the project that we see is the project on I-294 construction. The construction it started in 2014, and I used to take I-94, and at that time, and I remember how everything got affected. It was too crowded. The traveling as it is got even worse. There were times that it would take people to get through that whole intersection that was closed at least 45 minutes. So these are the things that project managers who need to keep in mind, how these projects are also going to affect the community. And sad to say, a lot of the projects that happen, the project managers do not take that in account. I would say for this project that the construction on I-94, and that just ended in 2016. I think they said that it was supposed to end in the summer. Now they went over. So that means it's now ended in November. It was supposed to end in the summer, because when I heard about the construction, they talked about it to start in the summer and then end in summer 2016. So these are the things that project managers need to look for. So what is a project? So projects and operations are both performed by people, and they are constructed by finite resources. So basically resources that we have, all right, so how many machines we have, how many equipment, what is the equipment that we have, what is the computer equipment that is required, what are the machines that we require. It involves a lot of planning, executing, and then once it's executed, controlling the projects. Projects are temporary. Each has and should have a start date and a finish date. And results are it's unique to every project, so they result in unique products, services, or result. And they can also be subject to elaboration, meaning sometimes you might have to, the project might end up taking longer than expected. Example would be the I-94 construction that we had. It took longer than it was expected. So project management office. So let's talk a little bit about the PMI office. So PMI institution is an office that is responsible for making sure that project managers are following a strategy to complete the project, execute a project. It goes by different names: project office, project support office, project and program support office, enterprise program support office. PMO became the Center for Excellence for Project Management, and it's the overseeing body for all project activities and the body to which project managers report. So basically, every project manager, once they should be associated with PMI, and once they are associated, they become a member, they have to follow the ethical and guidelines and professionalism guidelines that has been set by PMI or PMO. So what is project management? So the actual definition according to the book is the application of knowledge, skills, tools, and techniques to project activities and meet the project requirements. Then project management also includes a lot of other activities. So if you have a big project, you also have a program. I mean, what is the program? You're following a certain program in order to complete a project. Then what is the program? Program management is a strategic tool, and it's coordinated management of a group of projects that are interrelated and interdependent. So in other words, some companies are focusing on 6 or 5 projects in one time. They need to coordinate all those projects and see how each and every one can be completed and does not affect the community, does not affect people who are working, and does not affect the other functions of the project. Sometimes when the project is not followed or executed properly, you can see a big difference in how the company has been functioning. Sometimes it can affect the company's financials, it can affect the company's employees. So program management is a tool that it can be in the form of a computer program, it can be in the form of it's usually a computer program or a computer tool that we call a strategic tool that then basically looks and follows all the projects together. So project in a program can be parallel, series, or in a combination of both. So in other words, let's say the construction of I-94, that's a project that was affecting a lot of other, it was affecting everything. So you can say that was a project that was in a series of combination, because it affected the construction of 294, it affected the construction of I-94, it affected the construction of I-55. Usually if you were one of the clients who was taking that route, you would see there was a link, like if there was an accident in the intersection where the construction was held, it would affect everyone that was using that route. And there were times that the route would get longer with time. So when we are managing different projects at one time, we do need to make sure as a project manager that how other projects are being affected. And this is where program management comes in. Still, the program management still has individual project managers reporting to one program manager. So in other words, you have one big department, so Department of Transportation. The Department of Transportation would have different project managers for different projects, and they would only have one program manager. So Department of Project would have one program manager, and that program manager would be focusing on or basically overseeing all the other project managers. The project managers would be now reporting to him, and would also talk and discuss the progress in the project. All of these this one program manager will then be reporting to a senior client or a board member, or if it's a private company, it would be the CEO. So another portion of project management is portfolio management. Portfolio is basically the totality of the organization's programs. In other words, again, it's a computerized program. We think of a portfolio in the form of a big folder, like a 2-inch or a 3-inch folder, and we say this is my portfolio for completing my program in this so-and-so degree. It's the same thing. When you have a project that you're working on, you need to keep a record of all the programs, all the other projects that were related to that project, and all the operational activities, and that's called portfolio. So what does portfolio consist of? Resource management across completing projects and programs. In other words, what are the resources that were used? Resources would be how much money is required to complete the project, how many employees or new workers you would need to hire to complete that project, what are the timings, and then how would the timings affect. You would also take in account the weather, because if you're working in Chicago, we have to look a lot on the weather. We really have to focus a lot on the weather. Like the weather we have today, when it was -7 when we got up, It's not the weather that you would expect your workers to be working on that project. So resource management consists of all of these resources and capacities. So if you have bad weather, then how are you going to overcome that work that you missed? So this whole coming week we had really bad Arctic air chill. And it was not a weather that you would expect the workers to be outside working 8 to 12 hours. So if that happens, the project manager now needs to keep in mind, if this happens, how is he or she going to now guide all the workers to make sure that the project is still completed? And how would then they let the team know ahead of time? And this involves a lot of meetings, a lot of one-on-one conversations, a lot of brainstorming. So timing of the project, when it takes place, balance across the portfolio, meaning risk and return, all of these are looked in detail. Portfolio managers must ensure senior management is provided with information. So if you are a project manager and you have a separate portfolio manager for yourself that works with you, you need to make sure as the project manager that you are aware of all the changes, the resources that are required. So, okay, so now project management methodology. Methodology means that is a series of methods that are used in order to complete or execute a project. So project management methodology is a collection of policies, procedures, guidelines, templates, mandatory items, which defines how projects should be planned, monitoring, controlled within our organization. All of this does not happen in one time. That's another thing we need to keep in mind. When a project manager works on this, you do not expect them to come with the result right away. So let's say we sit down and we discuss a project of creating a program. The program will not be completed right away. It is a series of steps that need to be taken. The project manager will not need to look, what is the program about? What is the curriculum? What is the resources that would be required? Then how are we now going to release the program? Once the program is released, how are we going to offer it to the community or to our clients? So this can take weeks, days, weeks, months, and even years, depending on the types of project. So adoption of PMI basically processes could be a basis of methodology. So PMI or PMP Book, which is the project management body of knowledge, has methodologies that project manager can use. And it has advantages. Basically, it's consistency. So what is the benefits? Project handover easier with handover with a common format. So let's say we had a project that was to be executed for 3 to 5 years. During that time, the project manager changed and a new project manager came in. In order for that project manager to take over and to understand what was it that the company project manager was working on, there needs to be a very formal and a very easy handover. Everything needs to be, or knowledge transfer, in other words. That knowledge transfer needs to be done in a precise manner, and that is where project management book of knowledge comes in. Allow for the roll-up of projects for a corporate viewpoint. Encourage learning from project to project through structured approach. So in other words, the person has to be very much organized. They need to understand, they need to learn if there were any mistakes that were done during a project, because no project is perfect. It's all human beings that are managing the projects, and as humans, we all make mistakes. So the project manager needs to keep an open mind and remember that whatever mistakes were made in the first time should not be repeated while the second time the project has been executed. Encourage learning from project through a structured approach. Fewer misunderstandings through a common vocabulary. a clear and consistent approach with agreed decisions, points along the way. So in other words, a clear and consistent approach, meaning the project has to be informed, whatever the details are, whatever the changes are, needs to be informed to the team and to other managers that are working under that project. So anyone who's involved in that project needs to be needs to have that knowledge. That results in fewer conflicts as a clear role and responsibilities are explained. So if you are talking to environmental manager, and environmental manager is kept in detail about every change and every resources that will be required, and he or she is given the information on a weekly basis or on a monthly basis or in a meeting whenever the meetings are held. That will make it easier for everybody to continue their roles and responsibilities. In this way, you're not going to hear, oh, I'm confused. I didn't know I was supposed to be doing this. I didn't know I was responsible for this. So that can also become a big roadblock in a project, especially a project that would be affecting the whole community and the whole result. Effective communication between various parties involved in the project. So in other words, client, community, stakeholders who are paying for the project, everyone needs to be kept informed, because if they're not, again, the project can be stopped. We have seen a lot of time we have seen that there was one construction going on in our community and it stopped after 2 months, and now you don't see the building going on at all. So the building or whatever the office was produced for maybe for a month, and now it's been 2 years and you don't see any movement. It's because these guidelines were not followed. So or the project manager was not clear himself or herself in what he or she should be doing and how he or she should be following through with everybody regarding that project. And faster implementation time, less effort. So in other words, this is less stressful for everybody. If you have people who know what they're supposed to do, what are the resources that are coming in, resources change. Now you need to order some more cement, you need to order some more bricks, and that is affecting the whole project. As a project manager, you need to come to call everybody to a meeting and then talk to them, discuss in detail about how this is going to be affecting that project that's going on. Because otherwise, if there's no continuation of, or there's no agreement, you'll see the project stop. And if that project stop and you already spend, let's say, $60 or $70 or even $100,000 to that project, your company can go through a lot of financial endings. And what will happen is that as the project manager, you are the one who is blamed, because you were responsible for making sure that project went through. And a lot of times this can lead to project managers losing their jobs. So now in the book, there are 47 processes in 5 process groups. So what are those groups? Initializing consists of 2 processes. We cannot talk about those processes in detail. If you take our class, our course, it will be provided to you. You will be provided with all the information that you need in order to make sure that these processes and the class that you are aware of PMPs. The program is for 5 weeks. Planning is 24, executing is 8 processes, monitoring and controlling is 11 processes, and closing requires 2 processes. So processes mean these are steps. The steps may be a month or might be like 10 years or 5 years, depending on the project. Now the prep course at SIAT. So I have a question, how much does the program cost? The program costs $1,000 with a $10 registration fee. So project management prep course, in each course you study all the processes in detail. So what is the process? You have an input and output, tools and techniques that are required, meaning resources to complete each step in detail. Now the class is 5 weeks. It includes information from the PMP Book guide, Practice quizzes and practice exercises will be provided to you by the instructor. I have another question. When can I enroll into the program? You can enroll into the program right now. If you give us a call at 847-461-3985, and you also give or email us info@siaht.org, you can enroll into the program. You will be required to fill out the application. The application is on the website. So what do you need to enroll? You can go on our website, www.siaht.org. I'm going to bring into the next slide that has the information. So you can go on our website, and then you go on applications under tuition and other info. And once you go there, you will see the application for PMP course, a PMI course. You fill that out. You can email it to info@siaht.org along with a copy of your resume, because we are a registered PMI institution. We need to keep a record of all your information and also your resume. You also need to show us proof. The resume should show us proof of how long you have executed projects or how long you have managed the projects, and that will be